Good.
You gonna run the video? Okay, so we're ready to get started. Oh, shoot. I'll mute this. We're ready to get started.
There you
We're
go.
ready to get started with the meeting. If anyone else should come in, we'll try and keep an eye on it, but it's all set for you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order and ask Mayor Dunn to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
With your permission, before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that we will have the executive session that's on the agenda for Kinney Town Dam at the end of the meeting, with no action out of it, so it's executive session update. I believe both attorneys will be on, and it'll be subject to adjournment, so we won't come back into second. Just record it, the final. All right, so roll call. From the city of Ansonia, we're joined by Sheila O'Malley.
Here.
Sheila. Town of Beacon Falls, First Selectman Smith.
Here.
From the town of Bethlehem, First Selectman Sordi.
Here.
He's here in the room. Thank you, sir. From the city of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
Here.
Thank you. From the town of Cheshire, Andrew Martelli.
Here.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, from the city of Derby, Mayor Zekin.
Here.
In the room. From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John.
Here.
Here. From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
And from the town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple.
Here.
Is here. And we're also joined by the alternate Kristen Rosa online. From the town of Plymouth, Mayor Kilduff is here with us. Mayor Chatfield from Prospect just called just before the meeting. Is that a family issue today? I believe from Seymour, we have First Selectwoman Dragonis.
Here.
From the city of Shelton, I'm sure Mayor Loretti will be arriving at any point. From the
Fashionably late. Already standard time.
Exactly. We have a decline from First Selectman Manville from Southbury. Is the new alternate Claire Morris online? No. Okay, no one from Southbury. From Thomaston, First Selectman Moe.
Here.
Mayor O'Leary is not here. From the town of Watertown, town manager Mark Ramo.
Good morning, here.
Mark, thank you. From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn
Here.
is here, and from the town of Woodbury, Will Agresta. Here. Thank you, sir. We're also joined today by Sarah Dacey from Connecticut DOT, who I understand is going to be Sarah's last meeting with us. Tommy Hyde is here from Naugatuck Valley Regional Development Corp. I have Betty Bajek from Greater Waterbury Transit District, and John Fields from Region 5 Homeland Security. But missed anyone? And Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum of both the MPO and the COP.
All right, thank you, Rick. Public comment. Do we have anyone who would like to address the COG this morning?
Didn't get any requests online. I don't know if there's anyone in the room.
All right, anyone in the room or in Zoom land who would like to speak to us? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item 2A. CNVMPO approval of resolution 2023-05. I see it relates to the Waterbury branch line. So Kevin, I'm expecting something good from you. What are you?
I'm over here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. So this is a grant application that DOT submitted to FTA under the All Stations Accessibility Program. This project would be installing accessible stations at Beacon Falls, Seymour, and Sonia. This would be high-level platforms with all of the related amenities. The project year for this has been changed from 2023 to FYI, which means this is being moved from outside of the TIP. So this project has a total cost of 37 million with a federal contribution of 29.6 million and a state match of 7.4. This project was previously endorsed 2 meetings ago. So again, this project we move outside the tip won't be done in 2023, but sometime after that. So as you can see, the recommended motion is to adopt the resolution, and I'll take any questions.
All right,
So
let's
moved.
take a motion.
Second.
Motion
Second.
from Mr. Moan, second from Mr. Dunn. All right, any discussion? I have a question. What about the other towns along the line? Are they in the same pattern?
Well, what this project is to bring up to ADA compliance of the stations that aren't sort of scheduled to be
The
done. That
existing station?
existing station. So Derby Shell Station is being upgraded under a RAISE grant. Naugatuck Station, they're looking to relocate that station.
We're
So
not
that
looking, we're doing.
we're doing it. Well, so that's not included in this project because that's under.
It's already been moved,
No,
right? You already moved it.
They're gonna be upgrading the high level platforms under that project, so it's not part of, so this is just what they call legacy stations, the ones that aren't under. So it's once these 3 are done, Derby and Naugatuck are done, you know, all 6 stations will have the ADA accessibility features.
Okay, any questions? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So ordered. All right, item 3, approval of minutes, motion?
I'll take a motion.
Okay.
Motion by Mayor Ziegler.
Selectmen's- Motion by Mr. Zekin, seconded by Mr. St. John. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Item B, approval of agency financial reports and summaries. Michael.
Thank you very much. So this is the finance report for period ending October 31st, 2022. The full agenda went out in the packet last week, but these are the highlights. We're about 4 months through the year. And the bottom line is $193,000. We did pass a balanced budget at the, but we are on target to balance out towards the end of the year. There will be a budget revision for next month's meeting. Other than that, we're on target for all of our major funds. We did receive 100% of the RSG funds in October, and there aren't any unexpected funding cuts. You know, legal's still high on the excuse me, legal's still high in the Kidney Town, but we're hoping we'll be able to get some cost recovery if we end up getting the grant. Other than that,
So
I'm happy.
everything's under control, Michael, right?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Michael?
The only question I would pose is, you're talking about a revision. What might that revision be related to, Michael?
Well, usually, sometimes, there's some unexpected expenses, or we might get an additional funding source. This time around, there's a number of items that I think really adjust the budget, in terms of expenses and on the revenue side. So normally, if there's just a couple small changes here or there, we'll just kind of take it throughout the year and see how it goes. But there's a number of significant things that were unexpected that we are going to revise. Legal's part of it. The staffing plan, how that's going to affect the budget. So we're actually able to recoup more costs. So we're going to be able to expand the budget for like certain things like legal and a couple other areas as well.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
We're gonna be taking that up with the executive board,
Okay.
prior to bringing something here. We haven't been able to schedule a meeting yet.
Understood. So I'll move acceptance of the financial report. Or has it already been done?
Oh, no, we need a second.
Second.
All right, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item C.
Thank you.
Approval of meeting schedule for 2023. We have a recommended motion. Any questions on the schedule?
And I've got one here also. Sorry to keep going here, people.
I'm not surprised.
Mike, Ricky,
Yeah.
and Michael, as we have this meeting always on the second Friday of the month.
Mhm.
And it doesn't give us adequate time to give analysis to the prior month's budget, so to speak. Because we're always in arrears by an additional month. If we extend it out a week on that, on the scheduled meeting, would that make it possible to bring that budget analysis along to a more current project?
I believe it's possible. Michael, is it practical? Does that make a difference to you?
Yeah, I mean, that really makes a huge difference. So we would be able to, instead of doing 2 months before, we would be able to have it up to the previous month.
So that's why I thought I'd weigh in on this, because we're always so much in arrears. We're 2 months in
Right.
arrears, always with our budget analysis instead of being just for 1 month. Just from a practical standpoint, if delaying the meetings by 1 week would bring us into more current fiscal analysis, I would suggest that we do that.
Rick?
It's completely up to the board. I mean, we've revisited this a couple times. It's the board's decision, when staff will do whatever you wanted.
And you're good with it, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Anyone on the board have any thoughts?
I don't object at all what Ed's doing, but you may want to look out and check with all these mayors and selectmen's calendars, because I think I've got to check mine. I think I might run into something that's scheduled on that third Friday instead of the second Friday, because we moved away. So that's something you might want to do before you make the change. We could, and Ed, I totally respect where you're coming from, but I just think you might run into a
And you're right.
calendar problem.
My schedule's out for a year, so.
Yeah.
With the second Friday, so, but like I said, if we think.
Yeah,
I think that's-
maybe, Rick, I would suggest that between now and the next meeting, you do a little survey to see what people's, I mean, to me, you can't beat people being at a meeting. I'm not a Zoomer. I don't like those meetings at all, but I like to talk to real people. And my thoughts is that we need to try to accommodate as many people as we can get to our meetings, and that may create an issue for some people. I haven't even looked at my
Yeah,
calendar. Rich, so I
okay,
don't know.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I just threw it out there as
So
a
why
concept.
don't we just do a survey of
Yeah.
people, say we're contemplating making a change in our meeting, and send it out to all the CEOs and everything else. If we move to the third week, is that going to create a problem for you?
So,
Motion to table.
Okay, can we have a second to the motion? to
Second,
table? All those in favor? of tabling?
If we table this, is January gonna be a regular meeting?
yeah, that's what I was gonna go to. Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing it up. So we might need to at least schedule January 13th as a regular meeting. Okay, and then devise the rest of our schedule at that point in time as well.
All right, so we're gonna set the first meeting,
You have a motion.
a motion.
We should vote on the
looking
motion on the table first.
for- Okay, go ahead.
We should just vote on the motion on the table to table,
Okay.
and then we'll have to come up with another motion.
I take back my second.
Which one?
Okay, the motion has been
Or that.
withdrawn.
I withdrew my second, yeah.
Who made the motion?
I withdraw.
There we go.
Okay, all right, so now, that motion is withdrawn. We're gonna table the issue, but now we're gonna vote on the January, meeting date. as
January 13th.
scheduled.
So I'll make a motion to establish our January 13th regular meeting.
Second.
All right, all those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? So ordered. Holiday schedule. Rick?
Yes, sir. So you have the recommended holiday schedule in your packets. I believe we only have Veterans Day is the only one that we had to move. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I apologize. We moved Veterans Day for the meeting to get it.
We're not moving.
Yeah, so the only day is January 2nd is where New Year's Day is observed this year. That's the only difference, and Veterans Day is on the 10th. So, because it falls on the weekend as well. So,
Move we adopt holiday schedule?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor,
Aye.
opposed?
Carry.
All right, Rick.
Yes.
You're looking for you, a wounded warrior for your
Thank you.
director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I will keep it relatively short. I did introduce, I mentioned two people at last month's meeting who were not in the room. I just want to recognize Savannah Nicole Vialba, who's returned to us from the town of, where'd you go? Simsbury, Vernon, one of those towns. Happy to have her back. She's working in land use and specializing in housing issues. So she is your person, your main contact. If you have any questions on housing, she's working with Joanna on the Regional Planning Commission as well, and reports to Josh as Director of Planning. Also with us today in the room is Drew Backlick, who I've given him a title, but we're still working on it. He's picking up a lot of John DeCarlo's duties.
I got a title for
Me nice.
And we're still making adjustments on the work, but many of you, he's already been out to see a number of you in your offices, and he's scheduling visits to get out there and talk to you about your needs directly, so that he can pick up the municipal service piece in particular where John left off. And he will probably be interacting with some of you on legislative stuff this year in my absence, which we'll talk about later. So welcome to Drew. On the legislative report, I really just wanted to bring one thing to all of your attention. So we were unsuccessful in the short session last year in restoring the funding to the regional service grant that funds this agency from the state of Connecticut from OPM. The money exists, it's already there. It's not, there's no need to increase taxes to increase the allocation to the COGS. This was the way it was supposed to be when we agreed to a new formula, and they were supposed to be progressively increasing the amount of money that is in this tax diversion that goes to the regional performance incentive account and over to RSG. Basically, we're going to be petitioning the legislature this year to increase the per capita distribution by $1. So that'll add $3 million to the 3.9 million or 4.1 million. I can't remember the number. That's available statewide to all the COGS by formula. And it would obviously the per capita distribution favors the urban regions like ours. So that's something that we're in favor of. $7 million is where the funding was set when the legislation was originally adopted in 2016, 2017, and then they changed it. We agreed to the new formula. We lost $120,000, something like that, in the adoption of the new formula. We've been living with that for a couple of years now. So our hope is we get that back. I urge all of you to talk to your local legislators. We'll be in contact with them as well. But if you have an opportunity, this is important to us, important to North Valley.
So Rick, when that bill's on the floor or about to go to the floor, if you would send something out to all of us at our desks, you know, then certainly we'll jump on it. Or I will.
Yeah, and if I'm assuming it's gonna go through committee process, I'll probably go to P&D. So we'll let you know when it's there. That is really our only focus as a region legislatively this year. We're expecting an increase in bonded debt for the LOTSIP program so that they catch up with where the numbers should be, equal to the urbanized allocation under STP, which we give to the state, or we program for the state for their projects, and they in return give us an equal amount of money. It has not been an equal amount of money for the last several years. So, but we're expecting that. I know CONDOT has asked or plans to ask for the larger amount this year. And that is it. I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, any questions for Rick?
Keep up the good work.
So if I could just take a minute and just, the officers are aware of this, some of you are aware of this. I'm gonna be out of circulation for a while. Sometime I'll be having surgery sometime in hopefully January, but definitely by March. So if I'm out during the session, Drew will be covering legislative issues, and the staff here is more than capable of running the agency, without me here. But, I don't actually expect to be gone that long. They told me 6 to 8 weeks, and 2 weeks, I'll be completely out of commission. I can't imagine being more than 5 days out of contact though. So I'll let you all know as it goes, but I just wanted to let you all know that was coming up. All right, and with that, I have nothing else, Mr. Chair. Other than Merrill Leary is calling me. I didn't.
All right, we're gonna go to item 4, an authorization for Rick to execute an MOU with Western Connecticut COG and Northwest Hills COG. So what's this all about, Rick?
This is, if there's detailed questions, Joanna's on the call and she can answer those. But I believe that this is fairly straightforward. We have a contract each year. This is the MOU. It's actually a contract for income and expenditures for the Homeland Security Grant. REPT.
And this is something we've been doing for a number of years with this.
No moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, emergency management. Joanna,
Yes, can you all hear me?
We can.
yes.
Okay, great. So today we've got John Field. He's the regional coordinator for Region 5. John, are you on? I just want to give you a chance to say your issues first.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on.
Thanks.
Okay, real quick. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk to you guys. It's always a pleasure every month. First and foremost, working on cold weather protocol. It's that time of year again where the governor will institute this cold weather protocol for opening warming centers and all that kind of stuff. We're actually doing an update right now to it, going through all the state agencies to there was a couple items that weren't working well, so we're going to be updating that. As soon as I get an updated version, I'll share it with all of you and your emergency management directors. We did hold the CEO teach training in Litchfield. There was 20 plus folks there. Some of you guys were there. It went very well. It was well receptive. We also talked about planning additional trainings. One of the ones that came forward was training on legal. A few years back, our attorney, Brenda Bergeron, who's now the DC, actually did a program for us about, I think it's time for our new attorney, Kim Zigich, to do the same type of training. So we're talking about that. And talking about training, we're also putting together a multi-year exercise and training plan through the region. Still working through the school plan submittals. November 1st was the deadline for that. A lot of schools doing upgrades this year, so we're working with them to make that happen. Also, it's on the 2-year cycle, which they have to do assessments. So a few schools that have asked us to assist with tabletop exercises, as well as some security assessments. Because we get requests for quite a few security assessments, there's so many schools. Usually what we'll do is we'll go to each town and actually perform, or each district, and perform one security assessment and just show them what we do. And then they do their own from that point forward. Grant wise, we're working on the EMPG. I'm sure Henry has reached out to either you or your EMD or your finance person to get some information in regards to catching up on EMPG. Homeland Security grant funds. Our grant unit, which is fairly new, is working with our fiduciary, which is Northwest Hills COG, to try to come up with processes and procedures for expediting the funding, the return of the funding. So we're working on that. Also, the MOAs, really important for us to get our MOAs done. I know for some municipalities, it's a pretty lengthy process in which it has to go before boards and stuff like that to get the resolution authorization to do these MOAs. But it's very, very important that we get those MOAs as soon as possible back to the fiduciary, because they don't release any money unless that MOA is back to the fiduciary. So we need to make sure that happens. We're working on some mutual aid planning for Public Works. We're buying additional radios. Another big thing, cybersecurity assessment. Your municipality is now eligible to get a free, free cybersecurity assessment through the National Guard. They actually should have reached out to your municipality to offer that. I encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. It started a couple years back. Some of you may have participated when they were doing election security, cybersecurity assessments. At that point, we're just building off of that, and actually they're doing full cybersecurity assessments now. So if you need information on that or would like information on that, please reach out to me. I do have the contact for that, and I'd be happy to share it. And then next week, Eversource is having a webinar in regards to the rolling blackouts. You should have heard from your community liaison already in regards to, there's been a lot of discussion in regards to this winter. If it's a tough winter, there's going to be rolling blackouts and such. So next week, there's a webinar to do that. If you need more information on that, please reach out to me or your community liaison. And I think that's all I have for right now, Joanna.
All right, thank you, John. Anyone have a question for John? Okay, are we back to you, Joanna?
Yep. Oh, I just have a few other things. Just wanted to remind you that back in September 2022, Division of Emergency Management announced the release of Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities and Flood Mitigation Assistance Grants. The original deadline was December 2nd. That's been postponed to December 19th. Now, the NVCOG, we sent information about the program to your transportation tech staff and offered to assist your municipalities in these applications. Now, at this time, we don't know of, we're not aware of any towns that have actually put in applications for these two grant programs through FEMA. But I just want to let you know that we did include some of the culvert projects that were in the regional hazard mitigation plan into the deep regional application, excuse me, which Aaron Boudris will discuss in a few minutes. So just want to let you know, if you have any questions, you can contact me or Aaron Boudris on that. And also regarding that Region 5 Public Works Mutual Aid Plan, there is a plan for snow removal to be part of that mutual aid. Also regarding Region 2, there's been an increase in residential fires, and the Red Cross is encouraging all renters to buy rental insurance. And also with the lack of affordable housing, it's an even more difficult task to rehouse people who have survived a fire in their home. And the last thing I just want to say, that community emergency response teams, there is going to be a quarterly newsletter that Demis will be putting out regarding the contributions of those teams. And the first newsletter is going to be out January 15th, and January 1st is the deadline for photos, stories, that kind of thing. I can send you the information if you're interested. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Joanna? All right, we'll move to item 6. Planning Transportation, item A, Metropolitan Transportation Plan update. Rich.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've been talking about this for a few meetings, and we will continue to for the next few as well. But just to go through a bit, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or what used to be known as the Long Range Transportation Plan, is the federally mandated long-term vision and goals for the transportation system in the region. So we just wrapped up our public engagement, or at least a piece of our public engagement for this plan update. We had just under 700 responses to a multi-regional survey between us and the Connecticut Metropolitan Council of Governments. So that was, we're certainly happy with the turnout for that survey, and we've gotten some good information from it. We're in the process now of analyzing those results and preparing some of the sections included in the MTP based on those results. Just as an update for the timeline going forward, we have to have all of this completed by the beginning of April, based on the federal highway schedule. And so we anticipate somewhere in the middle of January, we will be putting forward some initial draft documents for public comment, and certainly for comment from all of you as well. We anticipate having air quality analysis from the Connecticut Department of Transportation somewhere in mid to late January as well. And we'll need to put that forward for public comment. And then either the February or March meeting, depending on the adopted meeting schedule for next year, we will bring forward a complete MTP along with the air quality analysis for your adoption. And that will be adopted by the CNVMPO. These are required to be written by MPO. We here at the NVCOG will be writing ours as the CNVMPO, but we'll be including information for all 19 towns, as well as collaborating with the Connecticut Metropolitan COG on the MTP for the GBV MPO area.
All right, any questions for Rich? All right, lots of, one of our favorite topics. Make sure we have enough money.
Yes, so this is going to be just a quick update today. As Rick mentioned, we are anticipating the department will be requesting additional funding for each region in the next year, which is fantastic. With some of the budget revisions and timeline revisions, we have worked out our own financial plan so that we never run into a negative scenario at this point. And so we're quite happy with that. As always, we are running an open solicitation for projects. We encourage all of the towns to be looking at possibilities to use the LOTSIP program. And then separately, we would like to congratulate Beacon Falls on their authorization to award the Burton Road project.
All right. Any questions for Rich on LOTSIP?
Mr. Chair, just one other comment to make about LOTSIP program. You know, this program started in 2014. We have 13 projects that have been completed. And if you remember, the department gives the low bid amount plus 20% for contingencies. So the projects usually come in less than that amount, and that money needs to be returned back to the department. We are continuing to work with them on closing out these projects because I think right now we have about $4 million that are just sort of sitting at the towns, and, you know, in projects that have been completed that haven't been closed out. So we're working to try to get that money sort of released back to the program. So that will also help our financial situation going forward. But we are working with them to try to expedite that, and hopefully sometime next year that money will be returned back into the program. So we're being aggressive, and we want to continue to be so. Like Rich mentioned, you know, anybody has a project, let us know. We'll work with you.
Mark, is it still true that because we're more successful in LOTSIP than other regions, that we should keep pursuing our projects just so they don't stop giving the money to the entire state?
And that is always a concern, because the legislature will look at, you know, the program statewide and say, well, we've authorized X millions of dollars, but only, you know, quite a bit less has been actually expended. And we don't want them to say cut back on the entire program, because, you know, we have been, I think we're 100% committed. We're a little bit over programmed by about 10%. But when you look at what we have completed, we're about 65% of our allocation has gone to complete a project. So, and that's the highest among any region in the state. So yes, we want to continue to spend, and it doesn't seem to be a big concern, but we don't want to, you know, give the legislature a cause to cut back on the program. So yes, we continue to be aggressive.
Yeah, and I would just say to some of our newer mayors, it's a great program, takes forever to get through it, but the rewards are there, and don't be bashful, you know, use it. It's really, really helpful to your towns.
Sure. If I just need to disagree, it does not take forever to get through.
I have to agree. I would have to. Not on your end, not on COG's end.
If you want an STP project that money replaced, it takes 3 to 5 years.
Okay, not on COG, not on COG's,
No.
but I have to agree, not on COG's end, but
Right.
it's ridiculous how we could go out and do a road in 3 weeks and it takes 2 years to get a road through LOTSIP
I would.
because of the state. That, we're gonna work on that this year.
Yeah, but understand, it was the money that we traded with them, we swapped with them. 3 to 5 years minimum for a project, and we got 3 projects done in what, a dozen years, Mark?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Under
it would take for under a federal aid program.
And how many projects we have on this?
13. And we have
24.
Burton Road's
A lot.
being starting real soon, and we have another 3 or 4 projects that are scheduled early part of next year. So
I'm first to beat up Condot, but not to, I
Oh, through the chair, the program's great and it does work and not through COG. It's in the state when you're talking about getting the money back, when you got boxes and boxes of paperwork like this for a 2-mile stretch of road,
oh, yeah.
that's ultimately ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of a lot of people's money. So
So my only comment is for those that are newer mayors or newer first selectmen, just understand the prerequisite for load SIP. LOTCIP is that you must engineer the program first. So the town has to invest in the engineering and get that piece done. But once that is done, then everything else can go through this program, including the inspections on the job and everything else. They'll pick up the whole deal. And as Rick indicated, usually 20% more than what bid is. So low bid is. So it is a worthwhile program. We did the longest road in Thomaston with it. We're pretty much completing it now with some punch list items for next year. But it saved my local taxpayers about $7 million.
Yeah.
it's great.
Well worth doing.
Okay, Route 8, Waterbury Branch Line TOD and alternate modes assessment. Mark,
yeah, this is just information only. We're wrapping up this project. It's been about 3-4 years in the it's been that long since we've been working on it. We're releasing sort of the final report now, and we're going to be having a public information meeting December 15th at the Valley Transit District office. It'll be a hybrid meeting where people can join online, but there's also an in-person capability. But this is our study that has been focused on the Waterbury rail line and improvements to that line. And the focus is the 6 towns that are host to the Waterbury rail line stations. But that project is wrapping up, and we're going to be having a 30-day comment period that will close mid-January, and we'll be releasing the report real soon, ahead of the December meeting. I just wanted to.
when is the report going to be released?
It's posted on our website now, and so you can go visit on, and we have we sent out news releases and posted. Is that been actually posted? Did they show up in the paper?
Yes.
Okay, so they have been. So it has been announced, and we've made the news release. I wasn't sure if we had gotten those posted or not, but everything is released now.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Mark, I know this has to do with Route 8. We had a meeting last week with the from Shelton to Seymour project,
Okay, yes.
and whoever the engineers are, they had no idea that the Route 34 project was going on. I want to make sure that they know that's going on. They were talking about detours and stuff like that. So I was kind of like baffled by that. I know that, but are you guys are on that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. Sometimes different units in DOT don't always know what's going on, but I'm surprised that they didn't know the 34 project was going. That's a big one.
If I may, Mr. Chair, Mark, did Conduct include you in the VIP meeting? We were not at a meeting, right?
No, we were not a meeting. We may have, I don't know if we got noticed on it.
This is, all right, so now I'll complain about Conduct.
Okay.
I mean, this is one of the issues we're trying to work through with them, is that they don't include us when they need to.
Right.
And so
Thank you.
there's significant coordination that needs to go on there, and they obviously can't use Route 34 for
Detours.
detour travel into downtown Shelton.
Yeah, so I was
Or anywhere.
with all of the mayors last week, and did talk with Condot about that after the meeting.
Okay.
All right. Environmental planning, sustainable materials management update, Ansonia pilot program. Katie,
We're actually gonna switch order on you, and we're gonna go with Christine first, and then to Katie.
all right, waste crisis story map, Christine.
Hi there. So as most of you know, Connecticut is in the midst of a waste crisis. I'm sure that's a surprise to absolutely no one at this table. New England communities are hit especially hard due to our high population density. And with the Hartford Mirror plant closing this fall, Connecticut is faced with shipping up to 1/3 of its trash out of state. So the ripple effects of too much garbage and not enough capacity are being felt by every single town in our region and trickling down to taxpayers who need to foot the bill of trucking our trash to Pennsylvania, Ohio, and even Virginia. There is no silver bullet here, but solutions are on the horizon. The State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection has funded waste reduction pilot programs in towns across Connecticut, including our own Ansonia, Seymour, and Woodbury. Katie's going to talk about the Ansonia launch shortly. These pilots consist of unit-based pricing, also known as pay-as-you-throw, and organics diversion, where we send food scraps to a biopower facility in Southington. NVCOG has also received its own grant to help educate our whole region about the waste crisis and help municipal staff and residents understand why systemic and behavioral changes are critical. So that's where this waste crisis story map comes in. A story map is an online storytelling tool with a strong visual component, which brings together a narrative, images, videos, and maps. The full product takes probably 10 to 15 minutes to read, and it covers background information, unit-based pricing, organics diversion, the DEEP grant program, and other related waste reduction efforts. The intended audience is both your municipal staff and residents. So in your packets, you have this PDF that just sort of explains what the story map is, how you can navigate it, and what we hope it will accomplish. Please consider reading it and working with your communications or social media people to get it out there. Katie, myself, Aaron, we spent a lot of time on it. I think it's a really valuable tool. I hope you just take a quick look at it and can help us blast it out so that people understand what these efforts are and why it's so important. We've also created, thank you so much to Katie for taking the lead on this waste management landing page on our website. It has descriptions of all our programs and links to a whole bunch of resources. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Through the chair, I do have a couple of comments, actually, not necessarily a question. I think it's a great idea. The story map is wonderful. I hope that we eventually get chosen for the grant and start to take food scraps out. I do have a big problem that I can share with you. I'm pretty good at social media. I would never share this, and I don't want you to take too much offense to this. But in the upper right-hand corner, it says, we can't afford to send our trash out of the state, which is true. And incineration causes toxic pollution. I will tell all of you that you are on the west end. Thank God the winds blow from the east to the west, but in Bristol, the west end of the NVCOG, I'd be in big trouble if I put that out. And I just talked to you too about continuous emissions monitoring systems that I think are in place. And we have one there. We just want to make them more public. This was a huge public interest story in Bristol right before I got elected and probably helped me get elected into office. My recommendation would be is that we are closing incineration plants to plant it in there so we don't have room for our trash and not talk about the negative environmental impact, which is probably debatable. I'll even give you it might be true. It's just this is not a story I could put out in Bristol right now because I'd have people going out on a limb.
Through the chair, I gotta back you up on that. We've talked about this line. You're pretty much not an expert on it, but you've been through it down there in our plant in Bristol. We push for that. We push for more garbage being burnt. And because it's being told to put into that blue bucket, and how much recycling is now. Recycling is $96 a ton for us, and all other towns don't. We're pushing to burn more, and unless somebody could prove that it's toxic, there's no proof because that plant would be shut down if it was toxic. It's far better. It gets tested. It gets tested more than any other thing, and it's proven that it's safe. So that I would ask that wording be taken out unless anybody else wants it in there. But I couldn't put this out either because we're actually advocating for more plants, or at least to upgrade the plants better. But there's no proof from anybody that that plant is toxic.
And burning, I say it's been burning trash safely for 30 years.
Yes, absolutely.
We there's many of us at the table been around this trash business for a long, long time, like 40 years for me. And all of these plants were built to be state of the art with emissions being, they were monitored by the state, everything is public record. The reason the MidCon was closed is because it's engineering wise and construction wise, everything is dated, it wasn't updated. But the plant burned clean for years and years and years. I would object to that language also. We're going down the wrong road with that stuff. There's a perfect balance between taking stuff to landfills and using what facilities we have, as long as we keep them environmentally safe. That should come out.
It's also monitored by EPA.
Absolutely.
And as you know, we spent $8 million in Naugatuck and Middlebury to take mercury out of the air.
Yeah.
And there's regular inspections and our incinerator.
They'd shut you down, Mayor, if
It's
you
all
weren't
standard.
doing it. They'd shut you down.
Yeah, I think we gotta pay more attention to what is being burned and where you're getting it. Because, you know, there's a lot of waste that we could burn that doesn't have any cadmium or mercury or any rare earths, in it. And, you know, that needs to be disposed of another way if we can't scrub it.
So if I could just respond, all very good points. Changing the language is absolutely within the scope of what we can do. You're looking at one tiny little sort of out of context box. Before that, it sort of explains that, you know, burning the waste can reduce it up to 80% or so. The result, what's left at the bottom is this toxic fly ash, and that needs to be landfilled. That's just a fact of how the process works. So I completely understand how you could see that, and I totally agree. The messaging makes it sound like, you know, people are inhaling, you know, lungfuls of smog. That's certainly not the implication that we meant to make, and be happy to change that part and clarify what we meant there. I think there's a lot of value in the rest of the story map. Would love to send it out to you for feedback then, if people want to take a look before, we could take it offline for now. If that's a thing people feel strongly about to get the language right.
I think that through the chair, I think that would be a great idea.
All right.
Through the chair, just want to say, I mean, I think it's a simple change. It's to say, we've run out of room for landfills and we're closing incineration plants. We don't have any place to put the trash.
Which, by the way, are recycling facilities.
Yeah,
You're
and
turning trash
let's
into
talk about-
energy.
The crisis is there, but I don't want to create fear, especially in the community that hosts an incineration plant, that we're putting toxic stuff.
That we want to expand.
That's the way I read it. I mean, and you look at the picture is of a waste management thing. It could even be Bristol.
Yeah, that is stupid.
Is it Bristol? Yeah. I haven't looked at it from that angle.
Just briefly, guys, well, I'm not going to add to this conversation. I think it was well said by everybody, and I certainly concur with it. I think trash to energy was a good idea, and still do. But that aside, right now, Corey is seeking comment, okay, as to how trash to energy might be a good idea going forward. Now, it's way down in the weeds, and you probably need to be an engineer or be fairly knowledgeable in how it gets done. But it's all part and parcel to what the legislature was bringing forward with Norm Needleman as to look at this issue and what we may do with our waste, instead of putting it on trucks, trains, and shipping it out of state landfills right now. So I don't know if you've all seen it, or at least as mayors and first selectmen, if you've seen that email. I know I have, and we're gonna have a discussion about it at Mira when we next meet.
If I might, just one question. I mean, we're all in CEOs are in general agreement, though, that the state's not going to permit any new plants, right?
Not at this time. Not at this
Well, I think
time.
things could change quickly.
That's correct. Not at this time.
Okay.
The state is definitely against.
They are, but again, that's at this time, Jeff.
Not the state. Not everybody.
Deep.
We got 28 new people coming in.
Things could change.
Yep.
First Selectman St. John.
I treasure what you're doing, guys, but I was there in 1976. It took forever to implement legislation to make this happen. They've undone all of that legislation, you know, it's gradually been smoothed over and moved around. So I would say that your process, it might be your successor, Ed.
And it might be.
And mine too, that will actually get this to see finality. That's because if it took this long to get us through what we are now phasing out, my thought process is going to take us an equal or a longer amount of time, but I treasure you at least trying.
And the only response I would have to that, Eddie, is if we can get the ball rolling in the correct, right direction, then it's worth our efforts at the time for our successor to see the through.
Here's what I see is going to happen to us in the interim is all of this stuff is going out of state. I have no idea where ours is going. Last I knew was Pennsylvania, wherever it is going, I don't know. Here's what's going to happen. What we're noticing in that waste stream now, we're beginning to see things that Mirror and Bristol Project would hook up, takes us to what George had to say. This stuff now that was being segregated and watched very closely by all of the resource recovery facilities aren't being watched. They're being sent to landfill, all these problems. And with these states, somebody who get a shipment of nuclear waste, radioactive material, inadvertently by accident, and then these states will say, you know what? You go find your own home for your waste. That's what's gonna happen.
It's ultimately gonna
It's
happen.
driving by you on the highway. It's driving
And
by
that could
everybody.
even create a bigger problem because you went through that with oil. Don't ship it by rail, ship it by truck. And or build a pipeline. What's the best way to do it? So that's what's going to trigger it, though. One of these big trucks will go over, and the first thing you know, look what was in this load. No, I'll tell you, I keep my fingers crossed that it'll last us for as long as I'm around.
All right. So Christine, are you gonna make a correction here?
Yeah, so I think the best way to handle this would be to simply take it offline, distribute it to everyone to get, well, make the immediate correction that was recommended, distribute it to the CEOs to make their comments, and then make those corrections. And I just as a final note, I'll say that the story map is pretty agnostic about, our waste to energy plants. The solution is landfilling the solution. It's really about how can we just make less trash in the first place? Because that's a win for everybody.
Right.
So that's really the bottom line of what comes out here. But yes, I'll certainly take it offline and make the corrections and send it around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, very nice. Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Good call.
All right, so let's go back to the Ansonia pilot program.
All righty. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to kind of expand on one of those solutions that Christine mentioned. Again, we know that there's no singular solution to this issue, but just on the theme that reducing our trash is a good place to start. That's what I'm here to talk more about. So as you may be familiar, the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection has administered a $5 million Sustainable Materials Management Grant Program. And we're super excited that as of right now, we have 3 towns who are participating, hopefully more on the way. And Ansonia's pilot program has just launched starting December 5th, which I'll talk more about Ansonia in a moment. But just as a reminder about the program itself, so you can see on the slides here that residents are distributed for however long the program is, but that many months worth of free orange trash bags and then free green food scraps bags. And so one way that's super easy and that's very effective in reducing the amount of trash that you have to haul at the end of the day is by separating out at the source in your kitchens the food scraps. And then those go to the facility that Christine mentioned to be turned into clean energy. And it can also go into different byproducts like animal feed and things like that. And so these bags have been distributed so far in Ansonia to about 6,000 households, and we have about 1,100 more boxes of bags on the way. And these programs have been piloted all around the country and all around the world. And you can get a taste for some of that in the story map that Christine just mentioned. But they show anywhere from a 48% to 69% reduction in the amount of trash created, which is really, really significant when you're thinking about the bottom line that it costs cities to haul this trash. So we have the flyer up here that was distributed to all residents in both English and Spanish that tells people more about the program, as well as the website. that there will be one created for each of the towns participating in it. We've done a bunch of outreach with display set up at the local library as well as City Hall, and we'll be doing more events next year and throughout the duration of the program to keep rallying engagement in it. And I think that's about it. But the other towns participating are Woodbury and Seymour, and we're looking forward to their program launches in February. Thanks so much.
All right, questions for Katie? All right, we'll go to item B, household hazardous waste. Christine.
Yeah, so just nice and quick, wanted to give an update on this. NVCOG's Household Hazardous Waste Selection Committee has gone through an RFP process to identify our new vendor for the next 3 to 5 years. The apparent low responsive bidder is NXI, the company that currently runs our collections. So staff is in the process right now of drafting a new contract with NXI. I'm happy to provide any documentation associated with the proposals and the selection process upon request. And certainly open to any questions you may have.
Just briefly, are we seeing a dramatic increase? Contract over contract?
Contract over contract? No,
Yeah.
of the 3 proposals, MXI was considerably lower than.
No,
the
I get
others.
that, the versus current versus future.
No, it's not considerable. I would say, and it's a little hard to tell, right? Because it's not one price, it's like all the different items pricing.
Gotcha.
But when to sort of give you some numbers for an example, we tend to get a bill of around $30,000 per event. When we sort of did a sample bill based on these new numbers, it came out to 34,000. So it's right, relatively consistent with what we've seen.
Okay, thank you.
The setup costs are the same as
No.
prior?
Not the same setup cost. The setup cost for MXI, I believe, went from 3,500 to 4,000.
Now, that negotiation was 4 years ago?
Yes, 4
2016?
years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. It was like 1 year and then 3 optional years.
All right, any questions? All right, we'll go to Connecticut Deep Climate Resilience Regional Application. Aaron.
Thank you. So as I discussed at the last few meetings, there's a new DEP Climate Resilience Fund grant program, which is intended to create a project pipeline of resilience projects. It'll fund new resilience planning and community engagement, and also preliminary design activities for resilience projects that have already been identified in existing resilience plans. The program will not fund design or construction, but it'll fund all the steps that are needed to make a successful application for federal programs, and it'll fund development of those funding applications as well. The grant deadline was last week. I know several of you submitted municipal applications. NVCOG also submitted a regional application that's intended to advance 9 culvert replacement and stormwater projects across the region that were previously identified in all of your hazard mitigation plans or road stream crossing management plans. If we're awarded, NVCOG would contract with a consultant that would work closely with municipalities to develop preliminary plans, target funding sources, and develop applications to state and federal funding sources to implement them. The idea is that by consolidating the contracting and project management for these 9 projects at NVCOG, we'll be saving the municipalities substantial time and effort. And the work completed under the project will lead to successful applications to implement them. So our grant ask was $689,000. There's no local match required for the program. So, you know, most funding for full design and construction will require a local match that municipalities will have to come up with later on. Happy to take any questions.
All right, questions for Aaron? All right, hearing none. Aaron, let's go to recreational trails program.
So you should have all received a memo from me last evening about the new round of DEP recreational trails funding. It'll fund an array of trail related projects, including planning, design, and construction of new trails or maintenance and restoration of existing trails. There's $9 million available this round, which is a lot more than has ever been made available in previous rounds. We do expect it to be very competitive still. There are a lot of unfunded projects in the last round. Selections overseen by the Connecticut Greenways Council, and the deadline is March 1st. We can assist with applications and support letters. I know I've had discussions with several of you and your staff about potential projects, and we'll be reaching back out on those soon. But yeah, if you guys have an idea for a project, please feel free to reach out and discuss with us.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Before we go to executive session, we'll go to item 8. Are there any other matters anyone would like to bring up today?
I just want to make a quick note for all the other mayors and first selectmen, town managers. And I know most everybody probably seen it out there on the Google, but the visitors that the town halls are getting. An employee in Ridgefield was just arrested for these professional antagonists come in. They're called the rights. They have their rights to come in and videotape your town hall. And if you could get caught off guard like I did, you could get a call. You had a call that there's an emergency. The employees are distraught down there. There's somebody. So I thought it was something different than what it really was. So just be prepared that these people come in and film. They're right around here. They just got into Cheshire the other day. They went to Griswold. So just be prepared for your employees. All our employees are trained for people that get mad about their tax bill or they're mad about something not being passed correctly. But this is totally something different. They just get in your face to talk about their rights, and you're actually not doing anything to them, but they're making it like you are. So they get a lot of people worked up in actions, and try not to call the police, because that's really what they're hoping to do, so they can get the police officer to. And if you watch the films out there, what they do, it gets you very, very aggravating, but you really have to be able to hold your form and be prepared for this. And they're around this area. So it could be today, it could be next week. They're coming right in, they walk right in with cameras. They don't say nothing. They don't tell you who they are. They don't have to. So I just wanted to give everybody a quick update. And the person in Ridgefield yesterday, just all they did was swing at the guy to get the camera out of the face, hit him in the face. He got the cops, and that person's arrested. So
that happened in Woket?
It happened in Woket, and I actually wasn't prepared. I got a call that the employee was distraught, in trouble. I was getting another call on the phone. I got a cell phone. I was in my office, and the other phone was from another employee saying there's people in here. I don't know if I'm getting robbed or what, but they're videotaping the vault. They're videotaping. They don't go in any restricted areas. And then I got a call from someone outside that somebody called, they called in and said, you need to get down there right away. As I'm coming down the stairs, there's a gentleman right there with the phone looking at me, and I had my phone in my hand. I just clicked the picture to catch him, but I'm heading down the hallway. And then they just started with the freedom of information, you don't give us our rights. And so I had to send the photos to their email and all that, but they ended up, somebody outside called the cops in. They antagonized the cops. They just riddle them until, they didn't do anything bad. Yeah, it happened in Woket. No, we kind of got caught off guard, but after you watch the whole tape, everybody did okay. We covered our own, we did, I gave a different name to the person, so they were really upset when they found out, but I didn't know who they were. So they asked me who I was, and I'm like, who are you? I just said, I used a prospect, so I used Bob.
Your safety's not on.
That they probably made Bob anyway.
Your safety's not on.
I was thinking, I didn't know who they were, and it really is. They come in and they're just, you don't know what they're doing.
I'm gonna use Loretta.
I just want you to be prepared. If you could let your employees know, but it's.
Mayor Dunn, is there a place we could go to watch one of these things?
Yeah,
It's
on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can Google it. Yeah, it's
Sir, are they called First Amendment auditors? Is that what you're
yeah,
talking
you could
about?
go there, First Amendment auditors, and also, I'm trying to think.
First Amendment.
Watch, is it called? No,
Listen to the news.
there's some of it saying that they really want to get the police officers to like handcuff them and arrest them, so then they win, they go in and get a battle. But they really get your employees are minding their own business, and they really get worked up, and they catch them off, and so.
All right, thank you. Any other matters someone wants to bring forward?
Mr. Chair, I just want to thank the staff. You might have noticed we have a bunch of people remote today, and they're sick, or their families are sick, or they have COVID in their house. I'm glad they stayed home, and I appreciate that they showed up to participate in the meeting remotely. That Michael is one of those who is not feeling well today. So I just want to mention that and appreciate it.
All right, last call. All right, I guess we're looking for a motion to go into executive session.
Hold on.
All right.
To discuss the Town Dam legal issues.
And we're gonna invite
In the attorneys who are gonna be on Zoom, attorneys. who-
Attorney Ron Shems, it'll be Josh, Mark, Aaron, myself, and Mike from the staff.
Right, so we're looking for a motion to go into executive session, inviting those people in.
You got the motion, you got the second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
To know what's going on.
Carries.
Okay.
We're now in executive session.
Yeah, at
I had to plan.
11:08 a.m. That, if we just know that that's gonna be subject to adjournment.
Given that we're.